Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Fair warning, I hope you can't hear it, but I have a fan on right now because it's super hot. It's like 87 degrees outside, so I'm dying. And we have like a AC, but like the AC vent for the office does not come through. It's a real pain. We're gonna talk about books that really just pissed me off. I guess that's the best way to put it. I got a nice long list. So if you want to hear some ranting on some books, book series, just sit back and have some popcorn because we're going to just dive right into this. First off on this list is Icebreakers. I read this for winter. I always like to read a cute little romance that kind of fits the theme for the summer, spring, whatever, for seasons, I should say. So I decided to read Icebreakers. Icebreakers genuinely ticked me off so much because the whole point of this book, and the reason why it ticks me off, is because I don't like the way that it really brings up relationships. I think the approach of how it does relationships is so poor that these characters just fall in love this way. It's a very modern way of romance, and it really bothers me a lot. I don't like how romances are the only way you can do, like, have people fall in love is by physical attractionness and not by personality at all. Throughout this whole entire book, these two characters, man, they only like each other for physical attractionness, and that is it. There's no deeper layer than that, and the whole time Anastasia is like, oh, I just don't trust you, I don't trust you. But then she ends up banging him anyway, and to me, I'm like, what is this teaching people? Like, what is this teaching young women to read? Or what is this teaching young men? Because to me, as like a man, I read this, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what women want. Easy enough. And I think it's a really bad portrayal of that kind of relationship. I think it's very toxic. I think this whole thing is a super toxic novel in general. For one, it's way too long, and I just don't like this book. I think this book is really bad. Also believe that there is one chapter, and it's so modern on this, is about therapy. Now, I'm not a super like anti-therapy kind of stuff. Problems in this book is underlined by like the results of Anastasia is like, oh, well, I think I'm gonna just break up with him. And then she talks to her therapist about it for one chapter, and then she's like, okay, I guess I'll get back together with him. It's really stupid. Now, if this book sprinkled in her sessions of therapy, I think that would be a lot better approach, but it doesn't ever do that. It's just one chapter, so it just feels like it got slapped in the face the whole time. And I'm not a big fan of that. Also, I'm so tired of these modern books always having daddy issues. I swear every character, man or woman, always has a daddy issue, and it just drives me nuts. It's like, dude, just because you had kind of a rocky relationship with your father, does that mean you actually have daddy issues? There's a lot of issues that people have, and I think it's just always portrayed. It's just projecting, and it just drives me nuts how this book is written in that kind of way. Where the guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he literally has daddy issues, and his dad's just written in a way that I'm like, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's that deep. The book tries to make it such a deep issue that it's like, we have to have this issue, and then it gets solved in like a chapter, and it just does not make any sense to me. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Now, is the dad like kind of like rude and stuff in it? Yes, absolutely. Like, I understand that element, but I'm like, I don't know, man. This book is just tries to make itself so deep, and it's not, and it's just overly sexual for like no reason. The way that men are talked in this book drives me nuts. It makes me so bad that this is how men are portraying these kind of romances like this, and it's not even a romance. That's what makes me mad. It's like these are considered romances and are not romantic at all. There's nothing romantic about this book at all. It just makes me sick to my stomach. The Queen of Romantasy, the book series that started it all, and from TikTok, is ACOTAR. This series really does tick me off. I read the whole entire series, and the worst part is I gotta read the other two books that are coming out from good old Sarah. I wish she didn't do that. I just wish she didn't finish the series, but here we are. I'm gonna be honest, this series really ticks me off because it feels like it's filler. Most of these books are just fillers. It's written in first person, so you have to follow Thera through every single one of these books, except for book 5, which is the best book because you get to follow Nesta. And even in Nesta's book, it's so heavy that's just a lot of filler. And again, the issue is it's like these characters just bang throughout the whole thing and they never actually have a connection. Like in the first book, it's just a lot of blah. I guess is the best way to explain it. Just a lot of blah. So this might be a hot take through this, and I already know a lot of people are gonna think it is. But reading this entire book series, book 1, I was like, it's not very good. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. There's a lot of issues with this book, but the one funny part is that like Thera can't read very well, and there's like a joke where it's like she had to do like this gauntlet, and then it's just really stupid. But the whole thing that bothers me the most is Rystan. And a lot of people are everyone thinks he's like a book boyfriend, but it's like he's kind of like a stalker and a creeper throughout this whole entire book. Books 1 and 2, he's kind of a creep because the whole time he's like, oh, well, I can help you, but you have to come to my place 1 week a month. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking creepy, dude. And the other things too is like you meet Tamlin in the first book, and Tamlin is like Pharaoh's like lover, and then she hooks up with Rystan for the rest of the book, and then Tamlin and Rystan have like beef, and it's just stupid. The whole Tamlin arc is so rushed because in the first book he's like super protective of her the whole time, even though he talks about how in the first book he's like, yeah, you can't come out here or I'm gonna do things to you without your like consent. I'm like, oh my gosh, brother, what am I reading? It's just, it gets progressively worse like that the whole entire time you read these novels, that it's like, why are they doing this? Like, there's so much that's felt so rushed in all these books. I feel like if you just really take your time, I actually feel like these books would be really good, but it doesn't do any of that. And it's just so much filler of just random BS in each one of these books that you're just like, this could have been cut down, this could have been cut down. And then you have like wars in here, and the wars literally last like 5 pages, but the sex scenes last like 15. And it's just so wild because I'm like, I'm reading fantasy. Where's the fantasy stuff, the fantastical stuff? I want to see the wars and battles and all this cool stuff, but instead I'm learning how large Tamlin is, and I'm like, why do I need to know this? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm a guy. I just don't think this series is really good, and maybe just so mad because it's like I wasted so much time on this stupid series, and now I gotta read the other 2 because I have to. Not really. I don't really have to. I don't have to do anything, but I kind of want to because it's fun talking about these terrible books, and it's just, I don't know. This is a book series I decided to read just for fun because I never read them, but I watched the movies when I was younger, and that is Twilight. I made a whole video about why Twilight really ticked me off, so I'm gonna try and make this one kind of short. Twilight really pissed me off because Bella really sucks. Bella is arguably the worst character in this entire series. Jacob and Edward are both good characters, but Stephenie Meyer made Jacob and Edward very toxic towards the end. She ruined Jacob. I'm gonna die on this hill. I think Jacob was fine in book 1 and 2, especially book 2, and then all of a sudden she's like, Bella cannot be with Jacob. I make him too likable, so I'm gonna make him a wild, crazy man. But the thing is, so I'm gonna defend Stephenie for a moment. The way that she wrote Jacob made so much sense because he is just a 16-year-old boy in the book, so his actions and everything actually makes so much sense that I cannot complain about too much. The thing that makes me mad more than anything else is the ending of book 4 is that it was all just through Alice's like powers to show that dude like, this is what's gonna happen, and it just ruins the entire book. You're like, so this is how it ends. This is how the series ends. It makes you so mad because it's like, I read so much crap, so much garbage, so much of who's Bella gonna take, Edward or Jacob, who is she gonna pick, and then the whole time this is what happens. Oh, it's so disappointing that I just wanted to give up after I read that. And the funny part is, it's like the whole time there was already a half human, half vampire the whole time already, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna ruin everything. And my thought is, I'm like, if this already happened, why is it such a big deal now? When you guys already know about the half vampire, half human kind of thing? I just don't know. I just thought this was a terrible series, and it just really ticked me off because I wasted so much time and little effort into reading these that there's times I was reading, I'm like, holy crap, these blew up for why? Just why? And now they're like cult classic movies. It's just wild to me. Okay, this is the last book that's kind of attacking female authors, and then the other 4 are male authors, so it kind of works out perfect. Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing is god-awful. I think every single thing about this entire series is just hyped from TikTok, and I'm pretty sure this book was like an industry plant. Like an industry plant is where you plant this popular book or somebody to really spread the word and make it just blow up really fast. It's like that one girl that was really popular for like podcasts for a hot minute. I think her name's like Bobby or something, but she just blew up. She did like interviews with like Drake like on her 2nd episode of ever, which Drake hardly ever does any podcasts. So there's like a whole thing about it. So I'm pretty sure like Rebecca Yarrow's book Fourth Wing was like that. Had to be something because this book blew up immediately for no reason. This book is just terrible. I think the main character just does not work for me. Violet, there's a lot of things with her. She's like disabled on parts of this, and I really like that. I thought it was a really cool dynamic, but the thing is, Rebecca Yarros kind of just throws it out of the window when it becomes inconvenient. Like when she's able to ride dragons, even though she like cannot do hardly anything physical, but you can ride a dragon, which does not make any sense. She's able to fight when she absolutely has to, to, most of the time, like, it doesn't make sense. And then she shows that, then she likes to remind you that Violet's really smart, and Violet does sometimes smart things, but most of the time she only does it like once because she poisons someone while wrestling, and that's it, and then she never does it again. It just does not keep it being repetitive. The way that Violet is written in this is just so weird. And then you have this like low-key kind of love triangle going on, and it doesn't go anywhere. And again, these books, I think a lot of people, man, I've been saying this a lot, but these books are truly like the TikTok books because they're so fast on these plots that could easily be peeled a little longer. Like the reveal of her brother at the end of the first book, spoilers, could have been in the second book, but it's not. It's peeled at the end of the first book. You're like, oh my gosh. And then like the hookup with her and the guy that was in the rebellion. I can't even get into the rebellion thing. The whole thing doesn't make any sense either, because she goes to the school where this army captures the rebellion, and then they make the rebellions fight and train for them, and they make the rebellions train the other like up and coming soldiers to fight the rebellions. And I'm like, this makes no sense. That was like the biggest thing that made no sense to me right off the rip. I'm like, this makes no sense. And why is Violet able to have two dragons the whole time? Like, I get it, she explains this in the book, but it just doesn't make any sense. The whole thing's just really dumb. I guess that's the best way to say it. I don't understand the logic on these, and I always thought about making a video about this in the future about like book pacing. I just think modern books really think I need to do this right now or people are gonna lose interest, and I think it's because of like social media and people's attention spans. You can't do that. Peel the onion, just layers and layers and layers, because people want it right then and there. I think it almost puts the authors in a corner, and I think Fourth Wing is a good example for that. I think she has a really cool idea, but it's just not played out because I think she kind of rushed a lot. So there's things that she could have like really slowed down and peeled those layers. Violet hooking up with what's his name could have been in like book 2 or 3, because then you build that passion, that heat a little longer. I get the dragons do the mating stuff or whatever, but still, it's just like, I don't know. I always felt like these books could have been a little stretched or shortened, and then you could have put more important things in the second or third book. And that's just how I've always been looking at it constantly. I'm like, I just feel like it's gonna be going nowhere. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Clowns in the Cornfield was a book that I was very excited to read, and then I started reading it, and it's been pretty dated pretty fast. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that the book came out, I think in 2020 or 2021, somewhere around there, that does a lot of political things that your boy does not like. Now I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I hate politics. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I truly believe politics has divided everyone more than anything else. You can't even share a difference of opinion without being called something. It truly just divides people. You cannot have a civil conversation with anyone. It's really toxic. It's so bad. It really strips away humans. It strips away every single thing that you want, and it's just bad. It's just a really toxic thing. With that being said, this book does stuff like that. It brings up somebody, not the actual person, but it brings up some of his little quotes, his little quota. He uses the word like woke in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. It's so bad because it's like it brings up these things and so unnecessary. I remember when I first read one of these chapters, I put a bookmark there, closed the book, and I looked at my fiance and I was like, this book is gonna really make me mad. And she said, why? And I told her why. She's like, oh yeah, it's gonna age so poorly. In like another 5 years, this book is gonna age so much worse. It really does make me pretty upset because I was really excited. I mean, creepy clowns, Cornfield, I was hyped because I like the good horror books, especially clowns. Clowns creep me out. That's like one of my all-time books is it, but it creeps me out. It's such a creepy book because it's a killer clown. So I thought Clowns in the Cornfield was gonna be cool. And I decided to watch the movie too, and the movie is just as bad. I mean, the book itself is very weak. It's a very typical like opening to a slasher film where this new girl moves to a new school, she meets all the guys, they are like telling her a little bit of the lore of this town and the cornfield and all these clowns and yada yada yada. At first I was fine with it, and then it did like make this town great again thing, and as soon as that happened, I was like, lord, here we go. And they brought up woke, and it's just so much that just did not need to be happening in this book that I was like, it just takes you right out of it. It's like my example when I read like newer Stephen King novels. He does crap like that and just really strips you out. It takes you out of the books so fast to the point where you just don't want to read these books anymore. So when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was really excited because I was like, wow, this guy like did an indie movie for this book. That's awesome. He's an indie author. I need to check this stuff out. I want to support indie authors. And then I was like, wow, all right, this is rough. This is a rough one. This is one I did a overrated fantasy series thing in my shorts. I'd like to do fun stuff like that. I got a lot of hate on this, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because I just don't care. I just like to be honest, and I like to talk about things that really tick me off, and that's what booktube is about. That's what the internet's for. You want to rant, you want to complain, and I'm going to complain about the Stormlight Archive for a couple minutes. Stormlight Archive. Everyone loves it, right? Actually, I don't think. I feel like book 5 really just divided the fandom. That's how I felt. I mean, I didn't read book 5 because I DNF book 4 because I just... wow. I did not like book 4 at all. I DNF'd it. And it was kind of sad because I think book 1 and 2 are arguably one of the best fantasy books I've ever read in my entire life. I think The Way of Kings is awesome. I think Words of Radiance is even better. But book 3, Oathbringer, kind of let me down with Dalinar. I said this earlier, but like Dalinar was one of my favorite characters and it just really fell off with Dalinar. I didn't like his backstory that much. I think there was elements of Dalinar that was really cool, but I think Brandon Sanderson has done a lot of things that is just getting worse. I think Brandon Sanderson has too much food on his plate and he's trying to do too much projects and it's just his writing is really showing. Now, Oathbringer came out years ago, like 10 years ago now. When I read Rhythm of War, I was already seeing just little pieces. I was like, ugh, I don't like this. I just think these books are too long. I think they're way too long to meet their purposes, and I feel like every time he does like these grand finales at the end, he has to try and one-up each one of them. And like Oathbringer felt like Avengers Endgame. So then you get to book 4 and it's like, okay, so he has to top that. Now again, I didn't finish book 4 and I'm not going to finish the series because I don't want to. I just don't see the appeal. Also, I hear everyone talked about like Wins in Truth when when Kaladin's like, I'm a therapist. And I was like, all right, I'm not reading this. I felt like book 4 too is like these characters, he kind of didn't know what to do with a lot of the main characters. So either they were taking back seats or they were doing the same thing again. Kaladin was going through trauma and depression again, even though he already was like getting out of it, and no, he's just gonna go through it again. And Shalai was still dealing with like a multi-personality disorder, didn't know, like her trying to find her identity, and Dalinar was going back to the same roots. It's just rinse and repeat. That was really annoying about this series. Really hard to stick with and really like these characters. People can disagree with me, that's fine, whatever. It's the internet, we can have opinions, but that's how I just felt when I was reading this. Speaking of another long fantasy series, The Wheel of Time, that series really ticked me off. It is 14 and a half books, and I tell every single person, if this was a 6-book series, it would be the greatest fantasy series of all time. As someone who loves fantasy, as someone who wrote fantasy books, I don't get the idea. I just don't ever understand why fantasy writers have to write 14, like 10 books, 14 books in their series when it's not necessarily needed. I truly think that The Wheel of Time would be one of the greatest series of all time. I mean, it really is. A lot of people say it is, but I think it would be the best series of all time if it was 6 books, even if it was 5. Oh my gosh. The slog is a real thing. Books 8 through 10. Book 7 is all right, because if you take a little break, or if you're like what I did is I read book 6 and I immediately read book 7 and it felt really good. I didn't have an issue with that. So then I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do it with the slog. And the slog is truly bad. There's not a whole lot happens besides a bowl to change the weather. That's basically the whole thing. And I really did not like that. I think a lot of the characters are super repetitive in a series. The payoffs, don't get me wrong, the payoff is really good, but getting there is just a slog because not every single book is perfect, and that's fine. But when you're trying to get through this series, holy crap, the characters are super repetitive. A lot of the plots, a lot of the movements, a lot of things are the same exact thing through every single book. And there is some really good character arcs, don't get me wrong, there is some good ones, like Matt Coffin, go. Perrin, my homeboy, got shafted. Perrin is arguably one of the best characters. Like the first 4 books, I was like, Perrin is my favorite character. And then all of a sudden, Robert Jordan's like, let's just make him do nothing for like books. Let's do that. And I was like, how am I gonna survive? So that was like my biggest issue about The Wheel of Time. I think the pacing is really, really slow. And I just think there's a lot of unnecessary pages and books in it. I tell everybody, I'm like, yeah, it's a fun series. Some books are. I need to do a ranking video. I need to do a tier ranking video eventually. Maybe I'll have to do that. But for me, I just don't think The Wheel of Time really just, it pissed me off, but it more just really made me sad. Speaking of another fantasy series, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a lot of fantasy books on here because you commit to a lot of fantasy, it's really hard for you to actually not get upset by them or be upset by them. And that is the First Law trilogy. For one, I blame booktube. Not really. I blame myself actually because I fell into booktube loving it. And again, that's perfectly fine. I think you can read and enjoy what you want, but there is booktube darlings that it's just like, it's almost sacred. You're not allowed to talk on them. Brandon Sanderson is one. Wheel of Time and the First Law. Those three are like darlings. And Dungeon Crawler Carl is like slowly becoming a booktube darling. So is the Greenborn Saga. There's a couple of darlings, but First Law, my problem is when I got done reading book 3, I set the book down and said, what did I just read? And there's a lot of people that comment. I do like shorts and reels and stuff, and a lot of people on Instagram were commenting like, oh, you're just not smart enough, you don't understand it. Now the thing is, there's a difference between a plot and theme. I know what the themes are in First Law, but I don't know what the plot is because there's no plot. And I think people really mistake difference between themes and plots. I never really thought about it too much until I started reading like Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy, he has very light plot, but he has really good themes in it. And I think Joe Abercrombie wrote the First Law with so many themes that just left out the plot. And the problem is fantasy. I think fantasy, you kind of can't get away with just themes in the book. I think there has to be a good plot. And there's not really much of a plot in any of these books. After you read book 1, you're like, what did I just read? And then you do the same thing with book 2. Then you do the same thing with book 3. Because you truly don't know what you're reading because there's no plot. These just characters doing random things. Just, I don't know what the plot, I truly have no idea what the plot is. But I can tell you what themes are in this. And that's what I really liked. I like themes of books. Themes are really important in a book, but so is a plot. Now I did do a video that's like, do you need books with no plots? How important are themes? And I think both of them are very important. Again, I read like a lot of Cormac McCarthy, and he does a lot of theme-driven books with a little plot, but his characters are really good. Now, Joe Abercrombie did the same exact thing, but the difference is it's fantasy. And I think fantasy, you have to have a little bit of a plot, especially a trilogy. I think if Joe just did one book, it'd probably be a lot different. But again, when I was reading this book series, I was like, where am I going? I can see what the themes are. I can see all this, but where's the plot? Where is that? That's why I was wondering where it was the whole time. And unfortunately, we just never got it. So unfortunately, that's the list. Those are 8 separate books that just pissed me off. Let me know down below which books have ticked you off in the past and what books have you not ticked you off in the past. I would love to know all your thoughts down below. Do you agree with my list of books that just pissed me off, or do you disagree? I would love to know all your thoughts down below. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.